Good morning, students. Welcome back in your SS class. Students, we have started our first chapter of civics, that is the Indian Constitution. We have completed already two parts of it, where we have discussed about that. What is a constitution? And we have already discussed about it. Why do we need a constitution? And if we think about this video lecture, in this video lecture, we'll discuss about the key features of the Indian Constitution. We will focus only basically these things. What are the different key features of Indian Constitution? Now, we will just only focus the Indian Constitution, not the Constitution word. Today, we will discuss what are the basic features on which our Indian Constitution are based, and you can say on which our government is based. We will discuss about it. Because we have already discussed that a constitution, it is a set of rules and regulations on which the government and you can say the political system of a country depend upon, and it works according to Indian Constitution, Constitution. Okay, so in this video lecture, we will focus only the key features, you can say the basic key features of the Indian Constitution. Right, students? Now, we will discuss our first key feature, that is federalism. First of all, I want to tell you, what do you think about the term federalism? It means that there may be not one level of the government. There may be more than one level of the government in the country, like central government, state government, and you can say local government. So in this way, if we think about federalism, it refers to the existence of more than one level of the government in the country. And that is central government, that is for whole country, state government, that is only for the particular state like Haryana, Punjab, and other. And if we think about the local level, that is urban level and you can say rural level, there is a local government. If we think about central government works and you can say functions and you can say make policies and laws for the whole country. But if we think about the state government, because every state has particular, you can say, culture, and if we think about the ethnic composition also, and if we think about the landform also, so every state have its unique feature. So on that unique feature, if we think about it, on that unique features, the state government will function according to this thing. So that's why to make the, you can say, government, you can say to make the administration efficiently and to work administration efficiently, Indian government may adopted the federalism process in which there is more than one level of the government. Okay, students. If we think about the central government, it takes the decision on the topic which must have uniformity in all over the country. Like if we think about the currency, the decision related to the currency, it is taken just only by the central government, because in the whole country, currency must be same. But if we think about the state government, every state government has unique feature, I have already told you. So whenever we discuss about the state police, then every state has the right to take the decision related to it. That's why every state has its own state police and they works under the state government. Right, students? If we think about each state in India, they enjoy autonomy in exercising power on certain issues. What does it mean, autonomy? It means it has legal power. It means it has legal, you can say, a right to exercise related to the issues which is under the state list. And if we think about the subject and issues which have the national concern, require that all these states follow the laws of the central government. Means whatever the things which is related to the national level and which may have the uniformity, every state government has to act upon according to the central government, has to obey the laws of the central government. So our Indian constitution, because India is a large country, So only single level of the government, it is not, you can say, well for the working of the government. So there is a more than one level of the government, that is called federalism, and Indian government had adopted all these things. Right, students? Now, let's think about the things on what basis the central government take decision and on what issues the state government can take, you can say, decisions. So for the power sharing method, there are three main lists in which the power is divided and you can say shared among the central government and the state government. And the issues are mentioned in these things, you can say in these lists, so that there is a separate jurisdiction and you can say there is a separate area where these government can take decisions. So we have broadly divided these issues into three main categories. The first one is the union list, the second one is the state list, and the third one is concurrent list. If we think about the union list, issues related to the national importance. If we think about the union list, this list includes the issues which are related to the national importance, which are having national importance, which may have the uniformity in the whole country. So the issues which have, you can say, which a national importance, they are considered and you can say they are included in the union list, and they must require unity also. For example, defense and currency. These are the examples which are the issues, and you can say these are issues which are included in the union list, and related to the union list, only the union government. It means only the central government has the power to take the decision related to the union list. Whatever the issues are there, it doesn't matter. Whatever the issues are included in the union list, only the central government has the power to take the decision, because these are the issues, you can say in this list, issues are related to the national importance and which may have uniformity. So union list, the union government can take and you can say can make laws regarding this. Right, students? Now, next one is, if we think about the state list, there are some issues which are related to the state level. Means, I have told you that every state has its unique feature, and according to the unique feature, it has to act upon it. So there are many issues which are included in the state list, and the issues are handled by the state government. If we think about the police, trade, commerce, the decision related to these things, the state government has the power to take the decision. So only state government can make laws the issue about the issues related to the state list. Now come to the third list, that is concurrent list. Issues related to the common interest, both the center and the state government. Means there are many issues which are related to the common interest, both the center and the state government. They have to take the decision related to it, like education, forest, marriage. These are the issues which are related to the common interest. So center and state government both have the power to take the decision related to it. Okay. Now students, whenever our Indian Constitution prepared, at that time only three lists were included. But there are many issues which are arise, you can say, which are arisen after the making of the Indian Constitution. Like IT sectors, it is the recent phenomena. So these things are included in the regulatory list. And this list is, you can say, added after many years of Indian, after making the Indian Constitution. And decision to take about these issues, it has the power only central government. Only central government can take the decision, and you can say can make the laws you can say central government can make the laws about these issues and about these, you can say, a list. Okay, students. So in this way, in our Indian Constitution, there is a more than one level of the government, and every level of the government has well aware about it, what issues they belong to, and on what issues they can take the decisions. And these are, you can say, separated, and these are included in different lists so that there may be no problem and there may be no dispute arise according to this. If there is any dispute created, then judiciary sort out the problem. Okay, students. So this is the first key feature of our Indian Constitution, that is we have adopted federalism. It means to make the administration efficient, we have adopted different level of the government, and you can say more level of the government. We have adopted a power sharing methods so that there may be no dictatorship, there may be no monarchy. This type of problem may not arise. That's why we have adopted federalism process. Right, students? Now come to the second key feature, that is a parliamentary form of government. Dear students, you all know that after 1947 we got independence. We have adopted democratic government, and you can say the form of government democracy. If we think about the democracy, the standard basic definition of it, it is a form of government of the people, for the people, and by the people. According to this, the total power is in the hand of the people. People have right to take the decision. So students, there are democracy is two types. First one is direct democracy, in which people directly participated in the decision-making process. You can say like Gram Panchayat. But in today's modern world, if you think about it, all the modern democracies, they have become a large, you can say large democracies have become. We have a lot of population, and we don't have such a place where all the people can sit together. And if you think about all the people can sit together, they don't have the knowledge, and you can say they don't have the time to take the decision related to the topic of other person. So that's why we have adopted parliamentary form of government, in which people adopt, you can say, representative, and people elected their representative, and these representative take the decision on the behalf of the Indian citizen. Okay. So our Indian Constitution, to elect these representative, it has selected one important feature, that is called universal adult suffrage, which is considered right to vote. If student, you have universal adult suffrage, it means right to vote. It means every citizen of the country, whether that person belongs to any background, it doesn't matter, they have right to elect its representative. So this is called universal adult suffrage. The age of getting this right, it is 18 years. After getting 18 years and above, all the citizen, whether the person belong to any caste, creed, and you can say gender, it doesn't matter, all have right to vote, and they can elect their representative. Okay, and if we think about these representatives, they are accountable to the people in the parliamentary form of the government. They have to act upon, and you can say they have to work for the welfare of the people. Right, students? So this is the second key feature, that is parliamentary form of government. Now we will come to another key feature, that is separation of powers. It means power must be divided and power must be separate. So for getting this feature, in Indian government, if we think about it, there are three organs of the government. If we think about the government organs, there are three organs of the government. The first one is the legislature. These are the house of the elected representative, which we elect them, if you think about it. And these legislature, they have power to take the decision and to make the laws and policies for our country. The second one is the executives. If we think about the function of the executive, whatever the laws and policies prepared by the legislature, and you can say passed by the legislature, the work of the implementation, it is the work of the executives. And these are, you can say, IPS officers and the government officers. Now the third organ of the government, it is judiciary. And the major function of the judiciary, it is to sort out the disputes, to settle the disputes, whether this dispute between the central government or state government or among the people. To settle the dispute, it is the function of the judiciary. Okay, friends. So the legislature refers to our elected representative who makes laws for us. And if we think about the executives, these are the smaller groups. These are the people who are responsible to implement all the laws, whatever prepared by the elected representatives. If we think about the legislature, these are political executives. But if we think about the executives, these are the permanent executives. We can say the government officers, these are the permanent officers. And on the other hand, if we think about judiciary, it is the system of our courts, meant Supreme Court, High Court, Lower Court. This is the system of court, that is judiciary. And if any person, you can say, if any person violate any law, then he will be punished. And if any type of dispute is arise, then it is settled by the judiciary. And the most important feature of this organ of the government, you can say separation of power, each organ act as a check to the other organs. It means each organ check the other organ whether this organ is not misusing its power. So that's why balance of the power is maintained there. Right, friends? So this is the separation of powers in our Indian Constitution, and it is most important feature, you can say. Now, this is the most important feature of our Indian Constitution, that is called fundamental rights. If we think about fundamental rights, these can be considered the soul of our Indian Constitution. These can be considered, these can be referred as a conscience of our Indian Constitution. आत्मा कह सकते हैं इसको. These fundamental rights, they protect the citizen against the arbitrary and absolute exercise of the power of the state. If government take any decision which violate any fundamental right of the government, it protects the citizen. The Constitution guarantees right of individual against the state as well as against other individual also. So these fundamental rights are provided each of the citizen without any discrimination. There are 6 fundamental rights in our Indian Constitution. The first one is right to equality. It means every person is equal in the country. Whether that person belong to any caste, creed, and any other thing, every person, you can say, equal in the Constitution according to the Constitution. Next one is right to freedom. It means people have different type of freedom, like to express his views, to settle any part of the country. So this is the second right to freedom. Next one, right against exploitation. It consists, you can say, it abolishes untouchability, and you can say it also abolishes, prohibits the child labor also. And there is a human trafficking. It means selling and buying the human being. It also stops according to this. If we think about the fourth fundamental right, that is right to freedom of religion. It means that every person of the India, that person can adopt any law, can, you can say, profess according to his religion. If he want to change, he wants to change his religion, he can shift, he can change. If he does not want to believe in any religion, it doesn't matter. And then according to this, you can say this right, all the religion are equal in front of the government. And the most important, that is 1/6 right, that is right to constitutional remedies. If we think about the right to constitutional remedies, this right, it is considered the soul of all the fundamental right. Because according to this right, if any law, if any action of government and or any person violate the right, fundamental right of any individual, that person has right to take remedies. That person has right to approach in the court so that his rights can be respected, his right can be saved. So these are fundamental rights, and these are 6 in number. Now next one, in addition to the fundamental rights, the Constitution has also a section that is called directive principle of the state policy. Now these fundamental rights provide the political right of the person, but this directive principle of state policy, it ensures the greater social and economical reforms in the society. This is most important for the social and economical reforms for the Indian society. So in addition to the fundamental right in our Indian Constitution, there is an important section that is called directive principle of state policy. It ensures the greater social and economical development in India. Right, students? Now come to the next point, that is secularism. Now, first of all, we will see what does it mean. If we think about a secular state, that is one in which the state does not have any official religion and state does not promote any official religion, you can say. And India is a secular country. In India, there is no official religion. All the religions are equal in India. Any people can adopt any religion and can change that rule, that religion also. It doesn't matter. So the constitution plays a very crucial role in laying out this idea. We would, you can say, like all the citizens of the country, we can take any decision. Okay, and this constitution also plays an important role how the government functions very well. But if we think about our Indian constitution, it has also changed over the several years. Because whenever this constitution is made, you can say, at that time, the political and the social situation was different. But with the passage of time, the situations are all going to change. That's why our Indian constitution has been you can say, changing over the time. Okay. Now, students, that was an important feature, and it is also most important feature because we have discussed about the fundamental right, and we all are very well aware about it. But in our Indian constitution, there are some fundamental duties and which we have to act upon according to that. Because if we want, you can say, a fundamental right, we require a fundamental duties also. If we think about the fundamental duties, the first fundamental duty is that is to respect the national flag and the national anthem. Okay. The next one is to cherish and follow the noble ideas which inspired, you can say, the national struggle of the freedom. Our freedom fighters struggle for the independence of the India. So we have to respect all those ideals. We have uphold and protect the sovereignty of the country, the unity and the integrity of India. We have to act upon it. According to it, we have to protect all these things. And citizens should be ready to defend and, you can say, render the national service toward India. This is most important. So these are the fundamental duties which we have to follow and which we have to act upon according to it. Note, students, this is very important thing. Fundamental duties are the moral obligation of all individuals to promote the unity of our country. So never think about these duties a burden. We must think about it. It is our moral duty, and we have to act upon according to that thing. Okay, students. This is our fundamental duties. Now, students, the chapter is over. Students, the chapter is over. Now, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Have a nice day.